talk to you a little bit about expectations for discussions. I will say in this first week, you've all done a really amazing job. I'm really impressed with how you kind of just got after it and really engaged right out of the gate. But I do know that there's often questions about what my expectations are and how to really get the most out of an asynchronous online discussion. So I would like to share a little bit with you about that. So two different things that I want to talk about, both looking at the kind of the expectations for the content of your discussions, as well as the how to engage and kind of the logistics of it. So let's look at the content. And to do that, I would like to have you think of a scenario. So let's pretend that you have invited a group of friends over for dinner. Maybe there's, 6, 7, 8 of you all sitting around the table. You pose a question, something you want to know about. And then you go around the table and you say, I have a question. You answer it. Now you answer it. Now you answer it. Now you answer it. And you don't let anybody else get a word in. All they do is answer that one question that you have. Not a very good conversation. Not a very interesting dinner party. The same thing is true in an online discussion. If I, as the instructor, pose a question and each of you individually answers that question, it's not a conversation. It's not a discussion. It's not learning from each other. It's just all of you putting your individual ideas out there and kind of walking away. If that was how we wanted to engage in a discussion, I wouldn't need to have a discussion. I could just pose the question. You would all send me an email. Done. You wouldn't have to read each other's posts. Rather, the purpose of our discussions is to understand from each other, is to learn, and it's to dig deeper. So that means what I really expect a discussion to look like is, yes, I pose a question or an idea. And the first, handful of people who join the discussion that week are probably going to directly address that question. But then the next people that come in are going to respond to those first people. And they're going to say, oh, you said this. What about this? Or I have a question, or here's an additional idea. The next people are then going to build on those ones. So I really, really don't expect everybody to, and I don't want everybody to directly address what I'm asking. That's not a discussion. And it's not going to ding you if you're thinking, well, if I don't directly address the question, then I'm not going to get my discussion points. That's not how we engage. What I want to see is an ongoing discussion over the week on the topic as a whole as it evolves. Once again, in the first week of class, most of you done a pretty good job at that, but I do want to clarify that is the way that we'll operate. Now, there are some discussions and activities now and then that everybody does kind of need to respond to. For example, in this first week of class, you all did the PALS inventory, and I did ask you to add kind of a short summary of the results of your inventory. So that was perfectly fine that everybody kind of did that. I think it should be pretty clear when the difference is everybody responds versus here's a topic, the first couple of people respond, and then everybody engages from there. The second thing I want to talk about in terms of your content is, well, gosh, if I don't go right in and I don't get to answer the question, what do I say? So let me offer you some ideas of ways to engage in the discussion. And these are also helpful, not just if you're not the first person in the discussion, but if you're not feeling very comfortable with the topic. Maybe it's something that you haven't had much experience with. How do I engage with this? So yes, you can answer the topic. You can ask questions of those who have already posted. I'm not sure I understand this, or how does this play into this thing? You can offer an example of something that we're talking about. You can offer a resource. So maybe there's a website or an article or a video that you've seen that pertains to something. That's one of the beauties of online learning. You can pop those things in there and people can learn even more about the topic. Maybe you directly ask me a question. Maybe it's not of your classmates. Maybe it's something that you want me to address. Another way to participate and engage is to be the summarizer. People love the summarizer. So if you have gotten through a week and you're like, boy, I don't know that I've really engaged as much as I need to in this discussion, something you can choose to do is to take not an entire discussion, that can be overwhelming, but a portion of one and say, okay, here are the big ideas that came out from the class in this discussion. And so people love that. So you might take 30 posts and summarize it down into a couple of bullet points in one post. So think about that when you are in a discussion. What are the different ways that you can participate that are not just directly answering the question? The third thing I want to talk about is what you can expect of me as the instructor. There are a few different things. If the discussion really isn't going anywhere, I jump in there and I try to kind of jumpstart things. If people are going and they're doing well and they're really engaged and they're discussing the topic at hand, you're not going to see a lot of me. I get in the way at that point. It's been shown time and time again that the minute the instructor jumps in there, quite often the conversation stops. Well, Dr. Kaiser had her say, so we must have the answer now, so we'll be done. There is nothing I want less than that. So if you don't see me very much, it means things are going pretty well. Again, if you have a direct question for me, I will absolutely address it in the discussion. If there's a point that isn't quite correct that needs clarifying, I will jump into the discussion. I will clarify it. If things aren't going very far or very well, I'll try to move things along. But those will be my roles in the discussion. Okay, I'm going to stop there. This is a long enough video at 6 minutes, and I will create a second video to discuss kind of that how or the logistics of discussions.